The following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it's for the PCW Tag Team Championship! Coming down the aisle, your PCW Tag Team Champions, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve!
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 42 of Podcast Championship Wrestling, hosted by your podcast tag team champions of the world, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling triumphant today. I don't even know why, but I just feel good today.
Good. I was going to ask why so triumphant, but
maybe it's because I've been playing Uncharted.
Oh well, anyone will feel triumphant when you're scaling walls and hanging out with lemurs in Madagascar and having an amazing time. What a great game. But we're not here to talk about Uncharted. I wish we were. We're here to talk about wrestling, what we do every week. But before we get into that, don't forget, you can find Podcast Championship Wrestling, the So Says Natal podcast, and the Fight Your Rival podcast on Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. If you want to contribute to any of those podcasts, email me at sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/SoSaysNatal. I have an Instagram, instagram.com/SoSaysNatal. And my favorite, the one I use the most, the best, the Twitter, at SoSaysNatal1, number 1. Like, comment, share, subscribe across all platforms. Help that algorithm out. Great word. Love using it. Shameless plugs are out of the way. Let's talk about wrestling. Yeah. And this weekend we got a big WWE event coming up, and that is Extreme Rules.
Yeah, I don't know if it's big. It's a WWE event, though.
I want to make it sound big. It's the second pay-per-view of the new era of the WWE, because now they're coining that phrase, like that's what it is, the new era of the WWE. And we normally recap Raw and whatnot, but this go-home show really there wasn't much to really recap.
Yeah, it was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, it was just a show, just a kind of a reminder of who's going to be wrestling at Extreme Rules. So instead of going over Raw, we're just going to break down the card, and as usual, give our predictions of who we want to win and who will probably end up winning. So the first match is the kickoff match, and it's a no disqualification match, and that is Baron Corbin against Dolph Ziggler.
I'm really excited for this match.
Yep, they're here to show the world. Show me nothing.
I don't know if I conveyed it, but that was sarcasm.
I'm
not really excited for this match at all.
I think the people out there knew that you were being sarcastic as well.
I don't trust them.
Me either.
But it's the kickoff match. I really don't care either way. Like I usually say, I tend to not really watch the kickoff shows. I'm fine with the event, and a 3-hour pay-per-view is more than enough time for then to have to watch Dolph Ziggler versus Corbin on top of it. I really don't care. Let's go with Corbin. We picked Corbin last time, and surprisingly, he didn't win. So
yeah, and that's why it doesn't really matter. One, obviously, it doesn't matter because it's a kickoff match, and two, Corbin already lost, so his steam is already gone.
Mm-hmm. At least it's not a title match in the kickoff show.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, Baron Corbin. Because what is Dolph Ziggler doing? What has he done for me lately? So the next match on the list is Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. And on Monday Night Raw, we found out that there's a new stipulation. And that stipulation is it's the first ever Asylum match.
Yeah, I am not really excited.
All it is a steel cage spray painted black with some weapons suspended on the top.
Or toys, as they like to call them.
Toys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care. I think it's a little too gimmicky. Even when they were announcing it, there's like this weird that
horrible Psycho Sid fake music. Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah, just like playing up, the craziness of it all. The promo exchange between them wasn't anything magnificent. It kind of sucks that this time around the feud is about destroying a plant in a jacket. So I'm definitely not as excited this time around going into this match as I was at the last pay-per-view for Ambrose versus Jericho. Hopefully it'll be really good. I would love to have a really good match between the two of them, even if it's confined in a steel cage with all sorts of gimmickry. We'll go with Ambrose winning just because it's his match.
Well, the thing that upsets me about it is, they call them toys. I doubt that we're going to see blood. So why would you have, the 2x4 wrapped around in barbed wire or the baseball bat wrapped around the barbed wire hanging when we know we're not going to see any blood? So, yeah, you said it's a gimmicky type of match, but it bothers me. It's really annoying. I'm just like, why don't you just make it a standard steel cage match where you can't escape the cage or climb out. Yeah. You have to be pinned or submission, because that's the thing about the Asylum match. You can't escape the cage. It doesn't count. You have to be basically you have to have a pinfall submission to win.
Yeah, which I always kind of like in a steel cage match. I mean, the escape the cage is kind of exciting, but I guess the pure wrestling fan in me likes watching a wrestling match just with the extra addition of the steel cage. But I mean, there's ways they could have gone around it where you just, you chain up some weapons around the ring where it doesn't look as hokey.
Yeah.
But the way they were hanging, it just kind of looked a little bit ridiculous. And then in this, like you said, this day and age, you're not going to get blood or any of that kind of stuff. So it's hard to take it seriously. I find it hard to take the entire Extreme Rules event seriously because of that. But hopefully, again, like I said, we get a good match between the two of them because I like both guys involved.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we love Chris Jericho, and I'm a big fan of Dean Ambrose. He does need the wins, because you said before, he's the one that can't get it done.
Yeah.
So, definitely we'll go with Dean. But, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they make it entertaining, because right now it's kind of jokey.
Yeah.
So the next match on the card is the Fatal 4-Way match, and that is for the WWE Intercontinental title, where you have your current champion, The Miz, defending his title against Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, this one should be really exciting. We kind of called it after the last pay-per-view.
Immediately once it was done.
Yeah, this is totally where it's going, and we'll be fine with it, and I am still fine with it. I'm looking forward to this match. I thought this past Monday on Raw, it was kind of interesting having Owens and Zayn team up together.
Yes.
It made for an interesting dynamic, but I suspect that all these guys are going to want to steal the show, and they're all really capable of it. Kevin Owens had to fight for 4 or 5 different opportunities to be able to get this match. Even on Raw, he couldn't even walk out of the tag team match, where he would have been barred from the match at the pay-per-view. So this poor guy, who's a former champ, never got his rematch, had to jump through so many hoops to finally get to this match. But I'm excited, looking forward to this. I'm actually picking Miz to still somehow squeeze it out.
That's funny. I want the Miz also.
Yeah.
Because, okay, cool, Kevin Owens will have it, but you got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So they both go for the title. They don't get it, whatever. Miz, he doesn't really need the title, but he's great with it right now, and he's making it very entertaining, with the addition of Maurice and whatnot. Cesaro could really use the title, but are they going to really push him, or is he going to be the next kickoff show match on the next pay-per-view if he's the IC champ?
He might not be on the kickoff show, but I'd see him as the champ that's first, second match on it, and that's it. We love Cesaro and we want them to do more with him, but I don't see putting the IC title on him right now really gonna lead to anything.
No, they would have to have that's what I'm saying, they would have to have a really strong plan with him, because the James Bond ripping of the clothes is fine all right now, but you slap a title on him, his mic work isn't the best. At least he's trying a little more, but we'll see. But I agree with you. I want the Miz to actually retain it.
Yeah, and it'd be hard to rip that suit off with the title around his waist.
Or you have to hide it underneath the suit,
and that would just look ridiculous.
It would just be bad. Yeah, he can't see. His opening gimmick ruins the fact that he can never own a title. He has to change it.
I guess he could walk out with it draped on his shoulder and put it down, or rip it off and pick it up. You think it's too much work? You don't want all that riff-raffing?
No, that's like when Sheamus was the Money in the Bank winner. He had to put it down to stretch his arms out and scream and then pick it back up. I was like, that's so much work. It was like a burden to him. So it would be a burden for Cesaro to carry the IC title.
All right, so based on entrance alone, Cesaro can't win.
Yeah, just because a wardrobe malfunctions, Cesaro loses and the Miz retains the IC title. That's my prediction.
I like it.
All right, so the next match on the card is the WWE Tag Team title match, and that is the Vaudevillains going for the gold for the first time on the main roster against the New Day, our current WWE Tag Team champions, who've been the Tag Team champions since we saw them win them live in New York at the Barclays at SummerSlam last year. Yeah, it's almost been a full year.
It's crazy, and I can't remember the last time they defended it at a pay-per-view.
Yeah, because they didn't even defend it at WrestleMania.
No, or the one after Payback.
Yeah,
I think it was around Royal Rumble time.
Yeah,
that might have been the last time we had a tag team title match on a pay-per-view, which is kind of crazy. Maybe that's why they've been champs for so long.
Yeah, I mean they've had Raw tag team title matches. They had one after WrestleMania and they won that one. So they've had some, but yeah,
but nothing on a big pay-per-view level. This should be entertaining. I mean, the feud hasn't been anything spectacular, but it hasn't been bad either. New Day's been doing their thing, and I feel like the Vaudevillains have been holding up their end pretty well. This week there was a nice beatdown on the New Day after an eye-rolling segment with the time machine.
Yeah, it wasn't good. The only good part was the SOS Kofi.
Yeah, like when Kofi came out as old school Jamaican Kofi, I got a kick out of it, and I was like, all right, I'll give this a little bit of a pass. It wasn't as awful just because this was kind of funny. I didn't really care when they came out in the 1920s, but then the Vaudevillains came out and just gave a vicious beatdown, which I thought added a little oomph for the match because, you know, they'd just been talking before, but this was really like the Vaudevillains really want to be the tag team champs, and they're showing the New Day that they're not going to pull any punches. So it should be interesting. I like the Vaudevillains standing out on top at the end. I don't suspect that they'll win the titles, and I still kind of want New Day to keep them just because as much as I like the Vaudevillains, they just showed up. Yeah, like I don't want them as WWE Tag Team Champs.
Interesting. I want the Vaudevillains to win. At first, I wanted the New Day to win because they're so over. The crowd loves them. But after what happened on Raw with the Vaudevillains, you know, standing tall, I was like, there's 3 of the New Day. There's 3 of them. There's only 2 of the Vaudevillains. So like that was kind of impressive to me, where I was like, wow, they were able to take all 3 of them down and standing tall. Yeah, I like the Vaudevillains. I like their mic work. I like that they correct everyone. Like, if they're talking to Enzo and Cass, it's how are you doing? And if it's the WWE Tag Team titles, they'll sing it really nice and beautiful. So I like their overall gimmick and everything, and it would be nice for them to have the tag titles just for a bit. I mean, that's the only thing I'm worried about. I don't want them to win it and then lose it in the next pay-per-view. They would have to hold them for a bit.
Yeah, that would suck. Or the next night on Raw.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, I'm going for the Vaudevillains, and you're going for the New Day.
Alright, so we're split on this one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll find out on Sunday. The next one, I don't know if we're going to be split or not, or if we're just going to go and split when this match comes on. It's for the WWE United States title, and that is our current champion, Kalisto. I remember when I cared that he was the champ.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun 2 weeks.
It was, and he's defending that title against Rusev, former U.S. champ.
Yeah, who just, you know, treated his buddy Sin Cara like garbage
for like 15 minutes straight.
Yeah, this week on Raw while he was in the middle of a match against Del Rio. No one came out to stop. I'm not even talking about wrestlers, but like security or
that
something
shows
like that.
How much they don't care about Sin Cara. They're like, man, we hope he injures him so we can let him go.
One less person for us to pay. Like, please finish the job for us. But yeah, this feud has been nothing spectacular, but I'm holding out hope that it leads to Monster Rusev again.
That's what I want.
Yeah, it was a shame during that beatdown on Raw. Like, Lana's standing behind, but not once did you even hear her.
Yeah.
Which sucked. But I do want Rusev to win just because the Kalisto experiment was nice, but they didn't really do anything with the... Apparently the experiment was just like, can we put a title on someone and not do anything with it? Yes. Yeah. Which is something that they've already had the answer for many times before.
Many times, yeah.
But yeah, why not? If it leads to Monster Rusev, I'd like to see the title on him. So he's who I want to see win on Sunday.
Yeah, I want Rusev to win. The only thing I'm afraid if he becomes the U.S. champion, John Cena's coming back at the end of May, and then he's just going to beat Rusev for the U.S. title and take it back. So I'd rather have Kalisto hold on to it so that he could just lose it to Cena, because that's what I feel is going to end up happening. But I do want Rusev to win, and I hope we get Monster Rusev.
So you think everybody since October has just been a placeholder for Cena to put
pretty much. He's going to come back and win all the titles in the first night.
I believe it.
This is how it is. He'll win the tag titles with Roman Reigns and then beat him in a solo match for the World Heavyweight title.
That sounds like John Cena.
Yeah, that's what he would do. Ugh. So the next match on the card is one that Cena can't go for, and that is the women's title. But you never know. I mean, Santina.
Yeah, Santina was the WrestleMania 25
diva.
Divas, whatever
from the Battle Royal. Yeah.
Yeah. So
John Cena would be like a Joanna Cena.
Yeah.
Okay, that works for me. So back to the card. It's the WWE Women's title, and it's up for grabs. And our current champion Charlotte is defending it against Natalya. Now this match has a lot of different weird stipulations. The first one, it's a submission match, so that's pretty cool because we're big fans of submission holds. So it's the sharpshooter versus the figure 4 leg lock, which is
figure 8.
Oh, figure 8. Sorry, yeah. So sharpshooter versus the figure 8. Who cares? The sharpshooter's the best. And besides it being a submission match, Ric Flair is barred from the ring. He cannot come out. So this Monday they had their signing of the contract, and there was another stipulation. Ric Flair lost his mind. And not only is he barred from the ring, but if he ever steps out and the ramp anywhere near the ring during the match, he just comes out, whatever, Charlotte loses the title immediately. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice way to just completely keep Flair out of the match, unless they go for something really stupid where he's dressed up like a woman or something awful like that. Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no. Like, it's interesting. Now, originally I was like, oh, Charlotte. But now with all of this, I'm like, I don't know. It could lead to so many things. I could see Flair coming out because he's so headstrong.
Yeah.
And Charlotte ends up losing the title and then finally gets rid of Flair. And then she goes solo.
But that would probably turn her face in the process.
Exactly. Or heel because everyone loves Flair and she's just berating him.
Yeah, I guess they could play it that way, where she just, like, overly berates her father. You could have her hit him.
Yeah. Slap him and stuff like that. Something that will, like, he could cry. He loves to cry. You know, so that's not going to be hard for him to do. Like, so it could go that way. Or Charlotte, I would like for Charlotte to win it and retain it to show that she is a strong champion and doesn't need to cheat all the time. Because that's one of the things I wasn't the big fan of with Rollins. Where I was like, oh my God, he's always has someone to help him. Like, this is ridiculous. But those matches where they're like, you got no one to help you, he could still deliver. Yeah. And I was like, that's awesome. Okay, it shows that he could do both. Like, if he needs to win on his own, he will. But if he doesn't have to, then why should he?
Yeah. Which I guess completely makes sense with the character. But I was like you with Rollins, where after a while it was like, come on. Even if he cheats by himself, just a victory by himself. I feel like that would work for Charlotte at this point too. Like, even if she doesn't win clean, which would be really nice.
Yeah.
Just, you know, on her own, it'll make her look a little bit more credible.
Who do you want to win? You want Charlotte or Natty?
I still want Charlotte to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Natty as an in-ring worker, but I really don't care about the Natalya character right now. I don't want to see her be women's champ. Like, yeah, I'm a little partial because she's a Hart.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, cool, we get to see Bret Hart come out with her every now and again and stuff like that. But I think Charlotte's working as the champ. I think it'd be cool where, like, this would kind of give her, even if she wins on her own, you know, no Flair coming out, chicanery like we were talking about before. She's proven to herself she could do it without him, and she starts to, like, try to weed away from him.
Yeah.
I like the pairing with them, but I feel like at this point, you know, it's run its course, and not in a bad way. It's just, you know, how much more can you really do with them together?
Well, I think the problem is I don't really like it that much because we are in this PG era or new era of WWE. So Flair can't do much. Like, they got in trouble with him kissing Becky Lynch. I mean, I don't want to see him making out with everyone, but they can't do much because of their sponsors and everything like that. So it's kind of weird. Like, he's really distracting people just by slapping his shoulders and wooing. Like, that's really that distracting.
Apparently.
Like, I could ignore that, but, like, it's just so obnoxious. That's where it makes it seem almost comedic. So that's why I kind of want him to go, because I don't think it's good. Like, when he pulls the leg or something, or helps with something, a stretch or something, that's fine, but...
How often can you keep doing the leg pulling or the pulling towards the ropes kind of deal that they've been doing with them? No, I get that completely.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens this Sunday. Hopefully Charlotte retains it. I mean, originally I wanted Natty to win on the last pay-per-view, and she didn't.
So now I'm just like... You ditched the zero and got with the hero?
I guess, if I want to vanilla ice it out. But it's not that. It's just that, who knows? There's two options. Like, I actually kind of hope that Flair comes out and ruins it. But at the same time, I hope he doesn't, because really, that's how we're going to have this women's title finally change hands.
Yeah,
the first hand change would be that. So, it's weird. It's interesting.
And I don't know if they were clear, like, if Natty would be the champ or Charlotte would be stripped of the title.
True.
It could be just because at that point Raw was kind of boring, and the segment between them actually closed Raw.
Yeah,
which was pretty surprising, which was good for them.
Yeah.
But also a shame in that it had dragged so long that by the time I got to that segment, I was a little checked out.
Yeah.
Because I know they had mentioned, you know, if she didn't sign the contract, they would strip her of the title right there.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily putting it on Natty. It's stripping her because, like, you can't defend it. You're not going to agree to the clauses. So, yeah, they were vague, or, again, I just completely checked out as to whether Natty would get it with Flair showing up. But either way, it'd be an awful way for Charlotte to lose the title.
Definitely. And I don't think it was that you were checked out. I think WWE didn't know themselves either. they swap around stuff all the time. Remember WrestleMania? I think one of the matches was supposed to be a no DQ
or
a new
something
DQ
like
match. The main event was supposed to be no DQ, and then it was whatever. So, speaking of main events, the main event for this pay-per-view, Extreme Rules.
We're already at the main event?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, man. This one's not as exciting as last month's.
No, but, I mean, some of the matches are still good.
Yeah.
So, the main event we got... Well, come on. Last one we had Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Kevin Owens half hour.
Yeah, that's true.
On commentary, too.
So back to this main event. It is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And it's our current champion, Roman Reigns. He's still doing his thing, I have to give him credit. Mm-hmm. And he's defending it against AJ Styles in an Extreme Rules match. So anything goes, no matter what.
Yeah, anything goes. The Usos can come out, the Brotherhood. Oh, no, not the club. Yeah, the club, not the Brotherhood. Excuse me.
The Bloodline or the Blood Feud or whatever.
Yeah, the Bloodline is Reigns and the Usos, and then the club obviously is Styles, Gallows, and Anderson. But I'm pretty sure Gallows, Anderson, and the Usos will factor into the match. As much as I don't want it to, because I really enjoyed what Styles and Reigns gave us at Payback.
Yes, me too.
I'm really interested to see if it could be a different style of match. I mean, granted, it is an Extreme Rules match, so there's more things that you can add into the match that you couldn't add to the last one. But I'm still excited. I'm not super pumped after this week on Raw, only because this week was kind of just like, hey, you know what we've established the last 2 weeks and really solidified last week? We're just kind of going over that again. This week on Raw. The end was exciting with Styles hitting the Styles Clash on Reigns on a chair. First off, to see the Styles Clash pulled out, because I thought it was a banned move at this point in the company.
Yes.
And just the idea of AJ standing tall and looking victorious over Reigns. Of course, that leads me to believe that Reigns is going to win at the pay-per-view with Styles standing tall. I want Styles to win. Is he going to win? Probably not. Probably. No, he's not.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is going to win again, but hopefully it's in a manner where Styles still looks good in defeat. Because at Payback, he didn't come out of that match looking bad at all.
No, not at all. I want Reigns to win. Because he's already on his third title reign. He needs to have some of these wins under his belt for me to have some type of credit. And you said, they were just rehashing the same thing. Like, are you going to be out there? I'll be wherever I want. Fine, I'll be out there too. And I'm like, okay, so you guys are always out there. And then they basically, set in Extreme Rules, like, are you going to bring your cousins? He's like, I'll bring whoever I want. AJ's like, fine, I'll bring my friends and a bag of chips. And I was like, well, there you go. They're going to be outside. And I hope, like you said, it doesn't turn into like a free-for-all brawl fest. Hopefully, the Usos and Gallows and Anderson keep themselves occupied, because I really want Roman's and AJ, and I hope they continue telling that story where Roman's just a monster and like AJ's gonna have to chop him down to get to it.
Yeah, because that really worked in the last match, and it'd be a nice starting off point again at this match until it evolves into whatever they have down the line. But, yeah, surprisingly, I'm excited for a Roman Reigns match again.
Yeah, again,
And this time we have, backing that what these two can do is pretty good. So I'm a little more excited for this match than I was going into Payback.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready for seconds, because the first meal was actually pretty damn good.
And I'm still kind of on guard for some sort of chicanery with the club turning on.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to happen. But it seems like the crowd is booing AJ with Gallows and Anderson, so it's odd. He was a really good face, and then Sami Zayn showed up, and that just got squashed, and everyone loves Sami Zayn, and Enzo and Cass showed up, and everyone loves them.
Yeah.
And now AJ's just getting booed. Even on Raw, he got booed out pretty hard.
Yeah, but it's usually when they pair him with Gallows and Anderson, because when he's on his own, he still gets a pretty decent pop. Reigns is the one who got the reign of
Oh my god, yeah. They had to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. They couldn't fix that audio real quick. It was so many bad boos.
Yeah, he still can't get the people to cheer for him, but they're still making it work now.
It's still
the way it was before.
Yeah, I like the fact that he ignores it and doesn't acknowledge it. What bothered me was when he won the title at WrestleMania the next day. He was like, "Come on, guys!" I was like, "Really? You're the champ. Don't. Oh, why me? Don't do that." So the way he is now is a lot better.
Yeah.
And that is it. That's Extreme Rules.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. Not as excited as I was going into Payback, but it should still be a lot of fun.
All right, with the Extreme Rules card out of the way, we're going to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some of our favorite submission moves.
Yeah, why not? We always say we like submission wrestling. Well, we'll talk about some submission moves.
I couldn't have said it any better. Stay tuned.
You can catch Natal on 3 separate podcasts. Yes, 3. You can catch him on Fight Your Rival with Michael Andronico, Podcast Championship Wrestling with the other half of The Men of 2000 Holds, Steve, and So Says Natal podcast. You can find all 3 podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. And you can follow him on Twitter at SoSaysNatal1, on Instagram at SoSaysNatal, and on Facebook, facebook.com/SoSaysNatal. You can support any of the podcasts by sending your comments, questions, and suggestions to sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe across all platforms. You have just been educated.
Welcome back to episode 42 of Podcast Championship Wrestling, hosted by your podcast tag team champions of the world, the Men of 2000 Holds. So, the break is done. Let's talk about breaking some necks.
Yeah, I hope you guys got something refreshing during that break.
Yeah, they did. They got some sweet tea, some water, and it's a good thing you got your water and you got your palate wet, because you're going to be screaming for submission when we're asking the referee. Ask him! And see if you're submitting. So the first submission move we want to talk about is obviously the one that we love the most. It's the greatest one.
Why would we not be talking about this?
Obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure the people that have been listening for a bit, when we went into break there and heard we're going to talk about submissions, you automatically said to yourself, they're going to talk about Bret Hart right away. Well, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, you're right. And there's nothing wrong with that, because Bret Hart is the number one to talk about.
That's right.
And we are talking about his submission move, which is the sharpshooter.
Not the sharpshooter, which we know is not a move that he created. We know Bret Hart did not create this move, but it's still his move.
It is. It was created by a Japanese wrestler named Riki Koshu. Do you know him? I never met him.
I actually do not. He owes me money, but I still don't know who this man is.
Yeah, see, I never met him, and I know he owes you money. But that's how he is. Riki Koshu, man. Can't trust that guy. But we got to thank him for the sharpshooter, because he created that. And Bret Hart obviously wasn't the only one who used the sharpshooter. No. Sting used it as well, and a little variation, and his was called the Scorpion Deathlock.
Scorpion Deathlock, and it was always visibly different. Like, Bret sat low on you and always kind of like tucked his hand under the knee to really make it look like he was pulling you, and Sting always had his right arm free. He never really held your legs with it. Kind of crossed the legs a little higher and kind of like stood/squatted. You know, he never got super deep like Bret. Visually, I always liked the sharpshooter more. It always looked like super tight and a move that you really would not want to have put on you.
Even when he did it recently in the most recent pay-per-view, he still sold it. It wasn't the best sharpshooter in the world.
That great look on his face.
But it still looked painful. I was like, this still looks like that hurts. Yeah, the sharpshooter is an incredible move. Just don't have The Rock do it. He butchers that move. It looks so bad when The Rock does it. It's so bad. But Bret Hart obviously isn't the only one that's used that move. We've seen Cesaro use that move.
Oh, yeah. Tyson
Kidd. Obviously, Natalia. That's her finisher right now, so it's really cool. It's a great move to have.
Yeah, it's been around. I mean, Chris Benoit used it for a bit when he was around. I remember watching, I think you can actually see this on the network. I think it's like Royal Rumble 1990. Greg the Hammer Valentine fights rugged Ronnie Garvin, and Ronnie Garvin uses it in the match. I think they call it like the reverse figure 4 or something like that. Yeah, I remember like hating it when I first saw it, because I ended up like renting it from my local video store, years after it came out. So like at that point, Bret was the one with the sharpshooter. So to see Ronnie Garvin put it on, I was just kind of like, what the hell is this? I hope you die, because that's how I thought when I was 12.
I think the same way. I'm not 12 anymore. I'm a lot older than that. But I feel the same way about Ronnie Garvin.
Yeah, and like we see it come out. Shawn Michaels has pulled it out, like near the end of his career. But still, for my money, nobody does it better than Bret. It looks the best when Bret did it. I always liked when he was able to pull it out different ways, because it was such a setup move where like the guy was on his back, stepped over. You never expected it to come out of nowhere, but SummerSlam 91 against Mr. Perfect, that's the first time you see him put it on in a very unorthodox manner, because Perfect's leg drop in his midsection, and Bret grabs his leg, and then while they're both on their back, he crosses Perfect's legs over, turns, and then stands up into the sharpshooter, and it was a really cool moment. I remember, I think it's at the 93 Royal Rumble against Razor Ramon. He puts it on in a similar way. Razor's not like attacking him, they're just both on the ground, and Bret feels their legs and then wraps Razor's legs, turns him, and then pulls up into it. And I always thought that was a really cool thing, because you never saw it often, but the sharpshooter was awesome.
Yeah, it's no RKO. You can't do sharpshooters out of nowhere.
No. And I also used to like early into Bret's run, like his singles run when he left, because he'd have the sharpshooter on, he'd win the match, but he'd always leave it on for an extra like 4 or 5 seconds longer. Which, when you think about it, is like not really something the babyface should be doing. No. But I don't care. It looked cool.
Well, maybe he was just so doped up on the victory that he didn't hear the bell.
Yeah, Could be that, and just lies. He's the hitman.
He's the excellence of execution. He did it on purpose.
Yeah, I believe it.
But I'm fine. It's okay. Barhart can hurt all the people he wants with his sharpshooter. So the next submission move is obviously, if we're talking about the sharpshooter, we gotta talk about the figure 4 leg lock. I mean, the figure 8 and the sharpshooter are going up against each other in Extreme Rules between Charlotte and Natty. We might as well talk about the originator of the figure 8, and that's the figure 4. And I've always loved the figure 4 leg lock because it's Flair's move. Big fan of Ric Flair. I've always think Ric Flair, figure 4 leg lock, but he wasn't the one who actually created that move. Nope. It was actually the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. I know it's weird, right? Nature Boy Ric Flair, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers.
Yeah, took his moniker.
Everything. Obviously, he was a big influence to Ric Flair, so Ric Flair took everything, and I'm fine.
Ric Flair really made it popular.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a remake to the original movie.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what he did, and the remake was really good. He did a good job being the remake, and everyone's used the figure 4. One of the things I really like about that submission move is it's kind of laughable in the sense of it's one of the few submission moves I could think of that you could reverse it in a way, and in such a comedic way. It's like a cradle, like you rock a boat and you flip over, and then the person who originally had the move is now in pain because you reversed the move. And I always thought that was really interesting, that this move that you essentially put on someone to put them in pain, if they just roll over, now you're screwed.
And there's a lot of moves also where like I buy into like, oh, this is how it works, even though that, like, oh, that's not doing anything. But when they reverse the figure 4, I've always been like, how does that reverse the pressure?
Yeah.
But either way, it's a cool looking move. The way you step over and turn on the guy, like that automatically gives it the visual of like, oh well, he's turning his leg, so it's gotta hurt. And then if you just imagine, your shin across your shins with another leg pulling down on it, that's pretty painful. But it's a cool looking move, adds to so much drama. But like we were saying earlier, it's almost become the DDT. That, like, it used to be so special, and now everybody uses it.
Yeah, everyone. The Miz uses it, and for a while his gimmick was that it was bestowed to him by Flair.
Not by Ric Flair.
Yeah, like he was being knighted or something like that.
Yeah, and he didn't even put it on, like, not the right way, but your standard way. He kind of made the 4 and then just like shoved his feet in place. It looked weird the way Miz applies it.
Well, I don't think anyone could apply it as well as Ric Flair. It was one of my favorite moves. He even said he didn't win that many matches with it, but it was his move, and I've always loved it. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, and I always liked, because it was back in the days when matches were a lot slower. You were able to draw it out a lot more, where he had to set you up for it by working on the lower half of your body for the majority of the match. And then when you're finally in it, it's not very easy to get out of, and from you almost passing out from the pain, you could essentially get yourself pinned on the mat if your shoulders are down too long. So there was a lot of ways you could work drama in with the figure 4. Just the guy applying it, reaching to the ropes to get more leverage, to make it hurt more. And it's visually it's a cool looking move. You could tell stories where when both guys are getting amped up, they're like smacking each other while they're in the figure 4. So it adds a lot to wrestling matches. It's actually one of probably the best submission rest spots, I guess. Yeah. Because you could do so much, like you said, so many variations. The next submission move that I want to talk about has 2 variations, actually, but it's all done by the same person. That's when you got to break those walls down. We're talking about Chris Jericho and the Lion Tamer, and then it got morphed, it evolved into the Walls of Jericho. But before we get into the walls, let's talk about the Tamer of Lions. Let's talk about this Lion Tamer. Yeah, the Lion Tamer, because I remember seeing that in WCW, I think it was, for the first time. Yeah, because didn't his WCW action figure, wasn't he the Lion Tamer? Yeah, and one of those stupid gimmicky ones, he came with like a whip and a little lion accessory. My roommate actually has that figure. Okay. But the first time you see it, it's already like a variation of the Boston Crab. Just, you take both legs, and essentially you imagine he's torquing your back to create a C. But no, he doesn't step over all the way, and he's essentially got all your body weight on your neck. Yes. And he would like half squat, like his left leg would be up, but his right leg, the knee would be on the back of the guy's head. It was just such a brutal it looked very uncomfortable. Yeah, like it looked like one of those, like the figure 4, you kind of like suspend your disbelief, like, oh, they got to sell it. But like the Lion Tamer was always just like, oh my god, he's gonna kill somebody. I always used to love when he would fight the cruiserweights. Like I remember him doing it with Juventud and Ray a couple times, where
they'd go for like Hurricane Ranas, and he'd come down with them and reverse it into the Lion Tamer, and it always just looks so brutal. So, and that's easily my favorite version of the move. But once it came over to WWE, it became a matter of you can't really create drama with the Lion Tamer, because once he's got that locked in and he's got his knee on the guy's head.
Yeah, you can't really move.
Yeah, you can't move. You just gotta submit. So there was no way of guys trying to reach for the ropes and stuff like that. And obviously the potential for injury is higher in the Lion Tamer than it is in the Walls. So the Walls is essentially a Boston Crab. You know, like one of the oldest finishing moves. I mean, it was Rick Martel's finisher when he was the model. So Jericho and Martel have that in common. But it's by no means a bad one. I like when he fights a guy where he like really sinks into the walls, because sometimes like he sits down really hard and really pulls back and it looks impressive. But like if he's fighting a really big guy like Kane, he's like holding him by the shins and it doesn't look as impressive.
But still, it's Chris Jericho, and he's one of my favorite submission wrestlers out there. He's still tearing it up so well. But and also he said in one of his books that he had also stopped the Lion Tamer because of the height difference in wrestling and wrestlers in WWE. There's just so many bigger people. Like you said, in WCW, he was predominantly wrestling cruiserweights and stuff like that. So he could get away with it, but...
Yeah, so he's fighting people like his height or a little bit shorter than him.
But when you're fighting Undertaker, or like you said, Kane, it looks kind of laughable. You can't really pull it off that well.
But I like that they haven't used it so much in this run, but...
Like, yeah, they turned into like the code breaker out of nowhere.
But I'm also talking about circa 2010 era. Like, in matches and stuff like that, he would still do the Walls of Jericho, but in the feud, trying to, like, lead up, like, after a beatdown or something like that, he would actually put the Lion Tamer on them.
That's true. He did. Didn't he do it to Dean in the last pay-per-view or something?
He might have.
For a bit.
I remember he did that to Neville at Beast in the East, I believe was the name of that random event, and we were surprised by that. We were like, whoa, you know, he beat Neville. But whatever. But he actually applied that one. So, yeah, again, when it's one of the smaller guys, he's able to do it, and it just looks up to 1,000 times more impressive, and you can never blame the guy for tapping out, because you're like, oh, I would tap out that second that was applied to me too.
Oh yeah, except us, because we're the podcast tag team champions of the world. We don't tap.
I'm talking for the Ham and Eggers, not for me.
Oh yeah. If you're looking for us like a beer, we're not on tap. Sorry, that's just how it is. So the next submission mode, you hear me? So the next submission move we want to talk about sounds like it should be a platter at a Red Lobster, and that's a Brock Lock.
Oh, that does sound delicious.
Can I have a Brock Lock with a side of potatoes?
Yeah, it's a move that I don't think I've seen anyone do before, and definitely not since. It was something that I think he used to actually hurt people with.
Yeah, it looks like it hurts people.
Yeah, because he would take the wrestler's leg and just drape it over his neck and then sit down on them.
It looks bad.
Yeah, it was almost like a Boston Crab with your leg wrapped around Brock Lesnar's neck. That's essentially what that move was. Like the Lion Tamer, just visually, it looked excruciating to be in that move. So that's why, it's one of my favorite, because my jaw dropped every time I would see it.
And Brock is the only one that used the Brock Locks, I guess because it's called the Brock Lock. But yeah, they look like rag dolls, like crash test dummies when he would lift their leg up, because he's already a beast, and for him to be able to just lift people with their leg just cricked around his neck, it's a problem. Just deadlifting you by your knee. Yeah,
it's a move that, again, he hasn't done since his first run. So if anybody listening to this has never seen it, you need to hit pause right now, YouTube Brock Lock, and then come back to listening to the rest of this.
Yeah, so you could just be like, wow, what a move. What a move.
Incredible. It's something that I think is still in the video games, though, so it's always kind of fun.
I think it is, actually. Yeah. The next submission move is definitely in the games, and it's one of my favorites. And it's done by the Phenom himself, The Undertaker, and that is Hell's Gate.
You like Hell's Gate that much,
I do.
Huh?
Yeah, it has a cool name. It looks really cool. Looks very submission-y. And also, I know that's not a word, but I just made it. And since Undertaker's so big, it's one of those things, like the evolution of his moves. I was like, this guy will never have a submission. And then I was like, holy crap, this guy has a submission. Yeah. And it's a cool looking one, too. It looks like something that would really hurt.
Especially because his legs are just so giant. And because he wraps them around like your neck and arm area. Like, it's really cool because you're able to take one of Undertaker's more impressive features, because he's got, his lower half of his body's huge.
Yeah.
So to wrap them around the guy and incorporate incorporate that into the finisher, it does look really cool.
Yeah, he's like the Stacy Keibler of Dead Man.
I didn't want to say that, but I did think that.
See? Oh, don't worry. You thought it, I say it. That's how it is. That's move number 186. Mm-hmm. You think it, I do it. But even with him being that big and having the phenom Stacy Keibler legs going on, it's super impressive. Because, like you said, with the legs wrapped around and then this big body, like, just hovering over you and pulling you in at the same time, it's claustrophobic. It's crazy.
It's easy to imagine, like, not being able to breathe in that move. And like you said, it's a cool looking move. It sticks out of my mind just because the finish to Undertaker and Edge at, I believe it's WrestleMania 24. I really like the finish because Edge like hits Undertaker with the spear, and then kind of like in a sigh of exasperation, Edge just like exhales and puts his hand on Taker's chest, and Taker just grabs his arm and pulls him into the Hell's Gate. Awesome. So it's like a really cool looking move where it's like if your guard's down, you don't even realize it can be put on you. And those are always some of the more fun wrestling moves, the ones that come out of nowhere.
Jason Voorhees, that bad boy.
Oh, totally.
That's so cool. Yeah, see, that's why Hell's Gate's on this list.
And I think it deserves it. And I don't think it's fairly new. Like, I don't think it showed up until he was feuding with Punk. And eventually, like, that feud led into some sort of, like, submission thing. I mean, I could be wrong on this, but, like, to my remembering, I know when he was the American Badass, they had him do the Dragon Sleeper.
Okay.
Like, Ultimo Dragon's finisher.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
And with Undertaker, that looked super impressive, too. If you don't know that, it's essentially Undertaker will stand over you, hook his arm over your face, and then pull back. Yes. Like, that's the Dragon submission. Your body is essentially a lowercase r.
That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, well, Undertaker's got his arm wrapped around you, so when they had him doing that looked impressive, but it didn't really last long. It didn't stay in the moveset very long, but the Hell's Gate shows up every now and again.
It's a great one. And the next one on the list is one of your favorites, actually, and we put it on, and that's the Regal Stretch.
Yeah, another move where, not very inventive in the name, William Regal created it, the Regal Stretch. Doesn't have the same ring as Brock Lock.
Yeah, but it seems like even the moves that have your name in it are the best ones.
Yeah. It's just, visually, it's an awesome looking move.
It's scary.
Yeah, like, it's essentially an STF for the most part. He locks your legs behind you, and, for the STF, you would just cross-face the guy's face, but Regal takes it up one and kind of hooks your arm up, so he's got one arm and your face locked together in the cross-face style, so he's pulling back on that while he's pulling with his legs. It's just an awesome looking move.
The video clip I saw earlier today to get myself familiarized with the move, because I haven't seen it in such a while, it looked like when he put it in, the way both of the guys were posed, I was like, that should be like a side plate to one of the WWE titles. That submission move just looks like a work of art. The way he stretches the guy, they look like they're in so much pain.
And I'm sure they are.
And they need to tap out fast. I mean, the video was 8 seconds long, and it shows you, I guess, how long it takes for you to tap out in the Regal Stretch. And that video included him setting it up. So, yeah, it's a devastating submission.
Yeah, like, it looks brutal. Definitely better than the power of the punch. But unfortunately, since Regal was one of those guys, like, great worker, but, and won his fair share, but didn't win all the time. I never really saw the Regal Stretch as much as I would have liked, because, like, I think at that point, it's like, oh, well, I want this to be the new sharpshooter. Like, I want to see this move for years on end. It was cool. I remember a couple years ago going and watching old FCW stuff on YouTube, and at that point, Dean Ambrose is feuding with William Regal.
I remember that.
It's great. Regal's a commentator, doing a fantastic job, and he's feuding with Ambrose, so Ambrose would put the Regal Stretch on the guys he was fighting, but position himself where, like, he's looking at Regal while he had the move on. So I thought that was pretty cool that someone else was using Regal's move, because I'd never really seen anyone else use it. And then just the manner in which he's, like, rubbing it in the guy's face, too.
It's always great when they do that. It's always great when a wrestler rubs it into someone else's face. Anything else you want to say about the Regal Stretch?
No, I think I've said all I wanted to say about the Regal Stretch. Love that move.
The next submission move we want to talk about, it breaks up into so many. We're just going to start with the standard name, and that's the crossface.
Yes, the crossface. I don't know who invented it. Maybe you did. Maybe
no,
you did your
I looked up, and it didn't really say.
Yeah, but this definitely came into prominence with Chris Benoit.
I've always known it as the crippler crossface.
Yeah, the crippler crossface until a couple years late. Well, not later, but a few years ago, it started showing up more often than it had been after the whole fiasco with him and just referred to as the crossface. But,
yeah, I believe, didn't Triple H do it at WrestleMania?
Yeah, Triple H has broken it out. Shawn Michaels has broken it out. Like, a lot of people have used the crossface. I know during his first run as TNA World Champ, Bobby Roode used it as a finisher for a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that was the time period where I think like they were trying to find a finisher for him. Like, it seemed like every 2 weeks he had a new finisher. But yeah, it's an awesome looking move. He essentially traps one arm between his legs and then just takes his hands and crosses them around your face and just yanks back. And the way Chris Benoit was built, that move just always looked so impressive on him because it was like almost like his arms were the perfect length to make it look like he was actually pulling back on the guy.
Because he had those weird looking T-Rex arms.
Yeah, because like, no, it's actually true. But like, you know, when Cena puts on the STF, it just looks like he's crossing his arms in front of the guy's face, and that's it.
Yeah, because he has a long reach.
But Benoit looks like he's really torquing and pulling back, and it was always such a cool looking move because it could essentially come out of nowhere. Like you could be trying to punch Benoit, and he could just grab your arm, spin you, pull you down, and then that's it. Just apply you, or you know, guys trying to pick him up for like an arm drag, and Benoit can hold on to it and then pull you into it. So you don't normally think of submission moves as out of nowhere kind of moves, and Benoit definitely gave the crossface that kind of feel. Like the move can come out of nowhere. It was always fun sometimes when he'd be fighting someone and the guy is just fighting back, and then you just start getting the clubbing blows on the back of the guy's head to try to wear him down to put the crossface on. But it was such a dangerous sounding move, even, you know, especially when he did it because it was the crippler crossface. Yeah. So it sounded brutal, but it's just a cool looking move. And again, it's one of those moves where I can buy into. Oh yeah, I see the pain that's happening. And then, people have used it since him. Obviously, not to the heights that Benoit brought the move. You rarely get wins.
Yeah, Cesaro's done it recently as well.
And it looks nice when Cesaro does it, but, you know, he's not winning matches with it. Like, I can't remember the last time the crossface won a match.
Well, the closest would be these two variations, and one is the Yes Lock from Daniel Bryan. Yeah. It's a variation of the crossface.
Which was originally the LaBelle lock, created by Gene LaBelle.
There you go.
Yeah, but it's essentially the crossface, except he, like, twists the guy's arm and locks it between his legs. The arm part of the Yes lock just looks like 40 times more brutal than the crossface, than just having your arm trapped. Because this is, like, twisted and trapped behind you between his legs. But, yeah, that's definitely one of the more notable recent variations to the crossface.
And the last variation of the crossface I want to talk about is from the boss herself, Sasha Banks, and it's the bank statement. And she does, it's cool. She does like a code breaker into a variation crossface, and it's fantastic.
Well, it's kind of like a backstabber because she's behind you.
That's true.
And it's cool too because she hits you with it and then rolls through.
Into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that looks cool. And it's essentially a crossface, except she doesn't trap the arm. She's just got both arms locked under the chin, and then she like plants her feet, leans up and back, and just pulls. Where again, you really see that torque getting put into that move. And it's like, of course you're tapping out 5 seconds into that move being applied to you.
That's more believable than, like, the disarmer.
Yeah, it's like she's turning your back into a C.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the disarmer just visually doesn't look as impressive.
But,
if you think of someone sitting on your back and just yanking your arm back, I think I want that on me even less than I want the bank statement.
Very true.
But just visually, it doesn't look as impressive as the bank statement.
Visually, it just looks like you're holding the arm up. But try twisting your own arm. It hurts. Except for us, because, you know, obviously we're the...
I did it just right now, you know, talking to you about it, and, you know, my shoulder's a little from that.
No, it's not. We never feel pain. We're the podcast acting champions of the world. You know this.
Yeah, I'll no-sell myself any day.
No sell. No sell whatsoever. And speaking of no sell, we're going to talk about two submission moves that we're talking about submission moves back and forth. And, you know, we're not always the best. It's just ones that we remember. And there's two of them that I find absolutely laughable. That I'm like, really? These are submission moves? And the first one I want to talk about, because I'll save the worst for last. The first one is the Master Lock by Chris Masters.
Oh, wow. So this one shows up first.
Yeah, this isn't the worst one.
Because, I mean, the Master Lock is a full Nelson. The full Nelson in and of itself isn't a horrible move. I mean,
but then the big thing with this one, like, he would close, like, make a lock with his hand,
and that was it. You couldn't break it.
It
was like, you know, a super full Nelson. But yeah, I mean,
so was it a super sized Nelson? It was bigger than a full Nelson.
Oh man, so what's bigger than a full Nelson? Like, it's full.
Stuffed Nelson.
Yeah, it's an overstuffed Nelson.
There you go, overstuffed Nelson.
But I mean, the full Nelson was never something that was like super impressive to me. Partly because like, you know, when we were growing up, bullies would put kids in a full Nelson at school. So you're like, really? You're using this?
Yeah.
Like, this is almost as bad as the Bushwhackers, you know, noogie battering.
Oh, God.
Like, it's a bully move to finish it off. Like, Masters was a specimen. Like, he did look like he was cut from granite. Like, he was crazy to look at, but it's just a full Nelson. So I couldn't buy into it. I almost thought it was more intimidating when the Warlord put the full Nelson on guys than him. Also, because, you know, the Warlord was just huge, and he was one of those guys whose, like, neck muscles had neck muscles.
Yep.
But in the end, it was just a full
Nelson.
Nelson.
He had a cool staff.
Yeah,
with a
Phantom
W
of the
on
Opera
it.
mask.
Yeah. Oh, man, Warlord. Where are you now?
He's probably like a bouncer at a strip club.
Probably. But back to the Master Lock. The reason why I wanted to bring it up is, since it is just a full Nelson, like you said, but a supersized one of the full Nelson, a fuller Nelson, they made a big deal of it. They had the Master Lock challenge where people would try to break out of this move.
Yeah.
And I think it was almost unbreakable for about almost a year, from like 2006 to 2007.
That's crazy that they tried that long to get it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he would put it on you and you'd pass out from the pain.
And the only person to break out of it is Bobby Lashley.
Oh. I don't really know what to say, just because I felt like...
No, I was just stating it. It's just a fact of wrestling. I didn't expect you to get excited.
But I wanted to be able to say something good, at least something sarcastically good, but it's just... Bobby Lashley was just so blah, where he saps my creativeness.
But he was Donald Trump's choice.
In
the Battle of the Billionaires.
You think he's going to vote for Trump?
Of course.
You think Bobby Lashley's totally voting for Trump?
Yeah, he is voting for Trump.
He's like, yo, me and that guy shaved Vince's head together. Of course.
We took down corporate America together, in front of thousands of people.
We'll take down America from within.
Exactly. So Bobby Lashley's all about it.
Yeah, that was when they were really trying to get Lashley over. Yeah, and it's a shame because he wasn't awful in the ring. He was just like the anti-charisma. So obviously they realized, okay, our push for Masters isn't working, so we'll try to put something else in Lashley's cap, another feather in the cap. I'm the one to break the Master Lock challenge. And no one cared.
Yeah.
Even when you found that out today, I just kind of went, oh, really? And went back to playing Uncharted.
Exactly. It was like me telling you, if you finish your food, there'll be nothing left to eat. It's like I pretty much told you nothing of importance. And speaking of nothing of importance, let's bring up the last submission move.
Oh, boy.
And this movie, I just laugh at it. Look it up if you don't know it. And that's the torture rack, infamously done by Lex Luger himself. One of the most useless looking submission moves. It looked more comforting. It looked like a comfort move more than a submission move. It looked like a chiropractor move. Like he would just put you on his shoulders and then bounce up and down. And like he would hook a leg and like maybe half of your top body, and that's it. But the thing that bothered me about the move was the minute he would get it on, the refs would start calling the bell. It was Montreal screw jobs nonstop every time he put that submission on. I was like, you didn't even give the guy a chance to like break out of it or just slide off or add weight.
Yeah, the match ends at referee's discretion sometimes. You don't necessarily have to give up. And the referee obviously saw Lex Luger is going to rip this man in half on his shoulders.
He's not the Hulk.
I need to call this match.
Yeah, he's not the Hulk. It's not going to happen.
Because I'm of the opposite mindset of you. Like, I'm not going to put it like, oh, it's one of my favorite submission moves ever. But I liked the torture rack. I thought the torture rack looked cool. The bouncing up, I always felt, especially near the end, did make it look laughable because he didn't even bounce up and down ferociously. It was just kind of like, you've got like your sister's kid on your knee, like bouncing him around, like,
or you're like carrying dog food on your shoulders and you're shifting the weight. Like,
but I guess it was more like in theory. I like the idea of it. A guy draped across your shoulders and being pulled from your leg and then your neck. Like I could see that hurting. And then there were times when it was super impressive. Like when he would pick the giant up and do that, I was always just like,
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? When everyone was feuding with the NWO? Yeah, he picked the giant up and put him in it. I remember when I was sick of Hogan, he picked Hogan up and put him in it to win the WCW title. It was like the one time I cheered for a Luger win. Yeah. Just because so sick of Hogan.
You didn't cheer for him when he body slammed Yokozuna?
No, I did not cheer for him when he body slammed.
He came out of nowhere.
Barely body slam on the Intrepid.
I was like, yo, you're the narcissist. You come down with a mirror and stare at yourself when we go to quick commercial breaks, and now you're Mr. USA.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, check it out. Look at my pants.
Yeah,
the flag.
Yeah, he's like, you see these pants? It's like,
America.
Yeah, I do see them, unfortunately.
But it was better than his finisher in WWE, which was the forearm with the plate on the inside.
I hate it. The only good thing about the forearm plate is WWF, WrestleMania, the arcade game, where he would have like a straight up like silver mace come out of his hand, and I was like, oh, that's cool. They're playing up the metal in his forearm.
Yeah.
But other than that, I hated that was it like the bionic arm or some crap like that?
It was, like the bionic forearm.
Bionic forearm,
That. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the torture rack and how I disagree with you. I actually liked it as a finisher. I'm sure if it was put on by somebody who was more skilled in the ring than Lex Luger, it would look even more impressive than it did. Because I can get what you're saying. At some points, it did seem like it was put on kind of weak, and you're like, well, yeah, the guy's not going to tap out to this because he's just holding him enough to keep him on him, to not hurt him. But, yeah, I like the torture rack.
Interesting. I guess we'll end it with a line drawn in the sand.
Oh, wow.
In regards to the torture rack, because that brings us to the end of episode 42 of Podcast Championship Wrestling.
Quite an abrupt ending this week for episode 42.
Well, it was a submission episode.
This is the meaning of life in the universe episode 42, and we just kind of glanced by it. It's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference.
Oh, I never read that. I never learned to read. And I don't like when you bring it up, especially when we're trying to record this podcast.
I'll teach you. It's move number 2002 for me. It's one of the two that I know that you don't.
Oh, just like that Symphony of the Night map. Very smart. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking your time and listening to this episode of PCW. We want you to definitely take a care. And yes, we do. And this is Natal saying goodbye for Steve. And remember, we have 2,000 more than you.
The winners of this match, and still PCW Tag Team Champions, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal